So we brought our baby to our home with us. This was our first day of being with him. I was super confident. I was like, I am going to manage it all. I am an amazing mom, and I am pretty confident about being able to nurse him, and there's nothing that I was scared about. And so he was not sleeping in the night, and I had assumed that probably he's one of those babies who sleep during the day, not in the night. So he didn't sleep, and we were constantly changing diapers, and I was in so much pain. I was trying to nurse him, and suddenly at 2ish 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, I see blood on his thigh, and I was so scared I was shivering, and I was like, Dush, what is it, and he checked the umbilical cord, which is still attached to the baby, a little part was bleeding. So we call, who we call an angel of a doctor. We call his doctor, Dr. Ashish Sani. He deserves that mention because he picked our calls. I'll tell you later on as well. He's picked our calls even in the nights. So we call him 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're like, hey, there's blood on his umbilical cord. And he was like, it's okay, bring him to the hospital in the morning, it's fine, sometimes it happens. And there was so much going on at the home. I was being told that my milk is not suiting him well, so he's bloated, and so he's bleeding, and there was so much pressure from everywhere. The confidence that I began with, long gone. He was crying and crying and crying, and I thought, I just cannot do it. And the very next morning, around 6-7 a.m., we rush him to the hospital. They check on him, they say that it's fine, sometimes it happens, and it's going to be fine. Applied some medicine and did some checks on him. We came back, and I was like, okay, it's fine. And I told the family members not to put anything negative in my head if they can't say anything positive, because I was still a sponge. I could feel that it was more like a new life. I had just began, just like a newborn is. Whatever you said, they just absorb, and I was like that in that moment, and I could feel so vulnerable. I could feel like whatever anybody is saying, I'm just absorbing it, and it's sitting. I just could feel that it is going and sitting deep down somewhere. So when things like that started happening, I had just said that just don't say anything negative. He slept during the day. During the night, he started crying again. The entire night, from 7 till 7 in the morning, we were awake, and he was crying. He was not being able to latch. So we were feeding him with a Paladia, and we were trying everything. He was not being able to latch. So 2 or 3 days passed by like this, and every single night was like this, completely awake, not even a single minute of sleep. During the day, we were not sleeping because we were taking care of him, doing so much, because there is so much to do. During the night, we were not sleeping at all. So it was completely chaotic. We moved back to our home, and we thought that things are going to change because this is our space, we're going to feel more comfortable. Things got a little better, but he turned 1 month, 2 months, everything was like this. But when he turned 2 months, things got so much worse. We had to call his doctor again in the night because he was crying so much and so loudly. He was almost screaming, and it felt like he was in so much pain. The doctor told us that probably he's a colic baby, which is basically probably he has some pain in his stomach, or maybe he's not being able to digest milk, or I don't know what was happening. But colic babies are the babies who cry a lot, basically, and it could be because of gas or something. But the reason was not pretty evident to us, and they told us that after 3 months he should be fine. And I remember not sleeping more than 1 or 2 hours during the night and 1 or 2 hours during the day with him. And 3-4 months passed by, and we were hoping that everything will be fine because he's turned 3 months now. 3 months were pure chaos, pure challenge. I was questioning my faith, I was questioning my life. I was like, how are we even going to be able to handle it? But my strength, my husband, he stood by my side. He took leaves from his work to just support me and take care of our baby. He was there with us. He was taking care of him during the day, during the night. We both were there. Both were not sleeping. We had just turned into zombies. And when I say not sleeping at all, I really mean not sleeping at all. And you must be thinking that you cannot go on a few days without sleeping. That is what I really mean. We were collapsing, our body was collapsing. And we were dizzy all the time. 2-3 hours of sleep is what we would get, and the lights would still be turned on, and so it was not quality sleep at all. So 3 months passed by like this. 4th month we were hoping that he would be fine, but he was diagnosed with CMPA. So they told us that it was not colic like they had diagnosed before, it is CMPA. So we had been to around 7 doctors by now, because nobody was being able to find out. But the intensity of his crying was so much that it was not normal. We knew that. So we checked, we went to so many doctors, and one of them, he was able to identify, and he said that you should cut your dairy intake. Everybody around me, even the doctors, were telling that whatever you eat doesn't go to the baby, because it first gets digested, and then the milk gets formed from the blood and not from what you eat directly. So it has no correlation as to what you eat and what gets to the baby. This one doctor was telling us that if you take dairy, the cow milk protein will travel through your milk to the baby. We were really surprised, but of course we had to try it. I stopped dairy. I stopped taking fried foods, and I had stopped pretty much. So I had started getting even weaker, because now the nutrition was cut out from my diet. And literally the most challenging phase of my life, 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, we would be carrying him, taking him for car rides, because nothing can soothe him. We would go to the terrace, try to put him to sleep. We would be going out to the street, doing anything and everything. We're always carrying him, and he just doesn't stop crying. And it is so heartbreaking to see your baby cry every single moment of the day and night. Nothing was helping, no prayers, no manifestation techniques, nothing was at all working. And suddenly something happens to put the cherry on the top. Dush's uncle passes away, and he has to go to the funeral. And I was in such a freeze state, because I was so scared. My mom was with me, but I was so scared that what will I even do without you? He had to go, and he will come back in around 6 hours, because he will drive. It's 2-3 hours of driving, and he will just attend the funeral, and he will be coming back. I knew it, but I was so scared. I just don't know, where did the practicality go? Where did the independence in me go? I was so scared. And when he returns, my milk supply stopped. He was just crying, and there was no milk. I was all dried up, of course, because of the stress. And now I was not able to think straight, because This was about the survival of my baby, and I was like, I want to put an end to my life because I cannot tolerate this anymore, because this was so much pain to handle. And I was telling Dush that please put an end to my life, just do this one thing for me, just kill me, because I cannot take it anymore. And that is the moment when this intuition came in very, very strongly to me. This was the first time when I had this intuition in this long while, and it said, this is exactly what it is happening because of. And I was like, what is this happening because of? And the answer was, because I run away from situations, from challenges. That had been my pattern since the very beginning of my life, because my childhood wasn't very easy, rather it was very tough because of constant fights at home. So my defense mechanism was to fly away from the situation where there's pain. There were troublesome jobs, and my body used to get into panic. I used to get panic attacks and I would quit the job. There used to be problems in my life and I would just go away from that situation and just be in my apartment. I would close the door. So I was a very private person all throughout my life, because I didn't want to be in troublesome situations. I wouldn't make so many friends because there would be problems. I wouldn't be in situations where there would be drama because I didn't want drama. But this was one situation that I could not run from. I couldn't leave my baby alone. I couldn't afford dying either, because my baby was completely dependent on me. So this was one situation that I had to face. And all of this challenge from the last 4 months was changing me as a person to a person who's able to stand challenging situations, who's patient enough to be able to deal with situations without running away from them. And that is what I realized. And also this intuition came that this is going to be the worst night, but things are going to get better from here on if you imbibe and absorb this lesson. And I slept, and my baby slept, right? Whatever little milk was coming, I don't know, God was there. Throughout this journey I was questioning God, but I also had deep faith. Every single moment I was fighting inside with God, but of course I was remembering God in each moment, even if I was just fighting. So I trust this moment and I go to sleep with my baby. Very, very strange that he goes to sleep, and the next morning when I wake up, I do every kind of nuska or whatever to get my supply back. And in 2 days the supply did come back, and we were all fine. And I was thanking God as to just giving my supply back, because I couldn't imagine anything other than that too, because we cannot feed him any other milk because he is allergic to milk. The formula that can be given to him, the doctor said it is such a big trade-off in terms of nutrition, that if you give him that formula, it is just going to be food for him, and so much is going to be compromised, because your milk is the best for him. So you either trade that off, right? You stop giving your milk and you give this specialized formula, but it's not going to give him enough nutrition. So I was like, no, we will bear the pain of staying awake, but I am going to feed him, right? So few more months passed by like this, 6 months, and I was questioning, is it ever going to be fine? Because yes, he was sleeping a little better, but he was still in so much pain. And 6 months pass by, we start solids, and things start getting better for him, for us. And he was 6 months 10 days when he slept during the night. without crying so much. He did cry, but not that much. And I'm going to tell you about this later on. Please stay tuned for the next part as well.